It started with a feeling that was almost impossible to explain. Before anyone could even process what was happening, the entire stadium seemed to shift its attention toward one person. Not because the others weren't incredible. Not because the performance wasn't already unforgettable. But because somehow, without forcing it, without demanding it, Jimin became the heartbeat of the entire night. You guys, can we talk about this for a second? Because honestly, what happened in Munich didn't feel normal at all. The lights stretched across the stadium like waves, thousands of army bombs glowing together under the night sky, turning the entire venue into a purple galaxy. Every beat echoed through the air, every cheer bounced from one side of the arena to the other, and the energy was already beyond anything words could describe. But then, Jimin walked forward. Not with some dramatic entrance. Not with an explosive move. Just, naturally. And somehow, that was enough. You could almost feel the atmosphere changing. It's one of those moments where you don't even need someone to tell you what's happening because your heart notices it first. The cheers became louder. Phones immediately lifted higher. Fans started screaming his name almost instinctively. How does he even do that? How can someone simply exist on stage, and somehow make tens of thousands of people forget everything else around them? It wasn't loud confidence. It wasn't trying to steal attention. It was something much softer. Something much rarer. Jimin has this incredible ability to make every movement feel intentional. Even the smallest turn of his head seemed to carry emotion. The way he smiled toward one section of the audience, then slowly looked across the stadium as if he wanted every single fan to feel seen. It wasn't just choreography anymore. It felt personal. And honestly, that's probably why everyone couldn't stop talking about him afterward. But wait. That wasn't even the moment people kept replaying. Because as the concert continued, something even more unexpected happened. The music exploded into another powerful stage, fireworks illuminated the Munich sky, and the members filled every corner of the massive stadium with unbelievable energy. The audience sang every lyric so loudly that, for a few seconds, it almost sounded like the crowd itself had become part of the performance. Yet somehow, even in the middle of all that beautiful chaos, Jimin kept creating these tiny moments that felt almost invisible unless you were paying close attention. A soft laugh. A playful glance. A quick wave toward fans sitting high above. A little bounce in his steps that looked completely effortless. Those tiny details became the moments everyone remembered. Can we talk about how special that is? Some performers leave an impression because everything is perfectly planned. Jimin leaves an impression because some of his best moments feel completely unplanned. They feel real. You can actually see him enjoying himself. And maybe that's what makes watching him so emotional. Because you're not just watching an idol. You're watching someone who genuinely seems grateful to be standing there. Every smile felt sincere. Every interaction felt honest. Every expression reached the fans before the cameras could even fully capture it. Then, there was one particular moment that made the entire stadium erupt. It wasn't a difficult dance move. It wasn't a high note. It wasn't some giant stage effect. It was simply the way Jimin reacted to the crowd. The fans became louder. He smiled even wider. The louder they became, the brighter his expression looked. It created this beautiful cycle where the audience gave him energy. And he immediately gave it right back. Honestly, watching that exchange felt almost emotional. Because it reminded everyone why BTS concerts have always felt different. They're never just performances. They're conversations. Thousands of people speaking the same emotional language without needing words. And Jimin. He understands that language perfectly. Every time he looked into the audience, you could almost imagine thousands of individual fans believing, just for 1 second, that he was looking directly at them. Did you feel that too? Because social media exploded afterward with people sharing completely different videos from completely different seats. Yet somehow everyone was saying exactly the same thing. I felt like Jimin looked at me. That's such a strange phenomenon. Logically, it's impossible. Emotionally, it somehow feels completely true. And that's when people started realizing something. Munich wasn't just talking about BTS. Munich was talking about Jimin. Not because he demanded attention. Because attention naturally followed him. There's a huge difference. The most charismatic people rarely chase the spotlight. The spotlight somehow finds them. As the night continued, every new stage seemed to reveal another side of him. Powerful. Elegant. Playful. Focused. Gentle. Then suddenly. Explosive. The transitions were almost impossible to predict. 1 second his movements looked incredibly delicate, flowing like water beneath the stage lights. The next. Every step carried unbelievable strength that echoed across the stadium. How can one person contain so many different emotions at once? That's probably the question thousands of fans were asking themselves. And just when you thought you had already seen everything, something else happened. The members shared one of those relaxed moments between performances. The atmosphere became lighter. Everyone looked genuinely happy. There was laughter. Little conversations. Natural interactions. And Jimin. He looked completely at home. No pressure. No distance. Just someone enjoying a beautiful night together with millions of people watching. It's funny, isn't it? Sometimes the biggest superstar moments aren't the biggest performances. Sometimes they're the smallest smiles. The tiny gestures. The seconds where someone's real personality quietly shines through. Those are the moments fans remember forever. Not because they're spectacular. Because they're human. And Munich seemed to recognize that instantly. The cheers whenever Jimin appeared somehow kept growing. Every close-up on the giant screens triggered another wave of excitement. People weren't waiting for something dramatic anymore. Simply seeing him was enough. That's incredibly rare. Honestly. Very few performers have that kind of presence. Presence isn't something choreography teaches. It's something people feel. Something impossible to measure. Something impossible to fake. By this point, the concert had already delivered everything fans could possibly hope for. Amazing vocals. Powerful performances. Incredible production. Beautiful chemistry between the members. Yet after everything ended, what filled timelines? What filled conversations? What filled comment sections? Again and again. Jimin. Fans weren't just posting photos. They were trying to explain feelings. Trying to describe why one smile affected them so much. Trying to understand why one glance stayed in their minds hours later. And isn't that fascinating? Sometimes the most unforgettable memories aren't created by the loudest moments. They're created by emotions that quietly stay with you long after the music stops. As the final songs carried across Munich, something almost magical happened. The excitement didn't disappear. It transformed. The explosive energy slowly became warmth. The stadium lights reflected across countless purple lights in the audience. People weren't just cheering anymore. Some were simply standing there. Watching. Smiling. Trying to memorize every second before it slipped away. Jimin looked across the crowd once more. There was something incredibly peaceful about his expression. Not dramatic. Not emotional in an obvious way. Just grateful. You could almost feel that silent conversation happening again. No words. Just understanding. The kind of connection that only exists after sharing something unforgettable together. And honestly, maybe that's the real reason Munich couldn't stop talking about him afterward. It wasn't because he had the biggest moment. It wasn't because he tried to become the center of attention. It was because, somewhere between the music, the lights, the laughter, and those countless tiny expressions, he quietly became the memory everyone carried home. And just when it seemed like that beautiful feeling had reached its peak, another small moment unfolded on stage that fans are still replaying over and over, almost as if they were afraid to let the night end.